Good evening, dear students. In our last class, we had seen what a register means and how a shift register works. In today's class, we will try to understand what counters are, right? Counters. Now, digital counters are devices used for counting electrical pulses, right? So what a digital counter does, on application of electric pulse, they can count the number of electric pulses applied, right? Now counters are made up of groups of flip-flops. Like registers, even counters are made up of groups of flip-flops, right? Now counters can be broadly classified into two types. The first is asynchronous counter, asynchronous or ripple counter, and the second is synchronous counter. Counter. Okay. Okay. So in case of asynchronous counter, there is no common clocking. You will understand it better as we draw a counter. Okay, there is no common clocking. Okay, by this we, like I've said, it is made up of groups of flip-flops, but all the flip-flops are not connected to a common clock. In registers, we have seen that all the flip-flops are connected to a common clock, right? But in case of in case of shift register, we have seen it. But in case of asynchronous counter, the flip-flops are not attached to a common clocking. Rather, the output of the previous flip-flop triggers the output of the next flip-flop, right? So each flip-flop is triggered by the previous flip-flop. Each flip-flop is triggered by the previous flip-flop. Okay. So as you can understand, there is no common clocking, and each flip-flop depends on the previous flip-flop for its function. So there is a speed limitation in case of asynchronous or ripple counter, right? So you can understand what from this definition itself, you can understand what a synchronous counter might mean. In case of synchronous counter, you do have a common clocking, okay? Common clocking system. And since there is common clocking, these devices are much more faster than asynchronous counters, but it requires lot more hardware. Okay, the hardware requirement is much more than a asynchronous counter. So these are the basic type of counters, asynchronous and synchronous. We will mainly focus on asynchronous counter. So let's see what asynchronous or ripple counter looks like and how it functions. Okay. So a ripple counter, first let me draw the circuit so that you can understand how it, and then we'll move on to the explanation, right? Ripple counter. Android and red. I hope all are visible. counted. This is the pulse to be counted, or the clock. Okay. Like I've already mentioned, there is no common clocking, but the previous flip-flop triggers the next flip-flop. You can see the clock over here is not common, but the previous flip-flop triggers the next flip-flop, right? So we have the same over here. You have a Q1 over here and it comes over here. You have a Q2 over here, it comes over here, and finally you have a Q3 out, right? Okay, it is very important to remember the least significant beat corresponds to the first flip-flop. Unlike the case we had seen in shift register, this is the least significant beat, and the last flip-flop gives you the most significant beat. Okay. Before trying to understand how a counter works, I would like you to focus on a point that is just for example, I'm showing you this Q3, Q2, Q1, Q0, 1, 2 is 0, 0, 1, 0. This is 0, 0, 1, 1, right? This is a 0, 0, 0. Sorry, here's a 1. We have a 1 over here. 0. We have a 1 over here, and a 0, 0, right? And then we have a 0. Okay. Okay. So what I want you to see is, if we want to count pulses, obviously we will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how we'll count pulse. There's a sequence, right? In this sequence, we will keep on counting pulses. So if you focus on the binary values of these decimal numbers, you have to notice this, that the least significant beat changes continuously, right? A 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. That means with each clock pulse, the least significant beat will keep on changing, right? Now coming on to the second least significant beat, we have to see, in case of the second least significant beat, it is not changing as fast as Q0. It is only changing when the previous bit, that is Q0, changes from 1 to 0. See over here, we have a 0, we have a 0 over here. 0 changes from 1, 0 changes from 0 to 1, we still have a 0. Only when the previous bit changes from 1 to 0, our Q1 changes. That is, it was 0 previously, it changed from 1. Changed to 1, right? Again, let's see how Q3 is changing. Q3 now changes from 0 to 1. That is the reason. But our Q1 won't change. Like I said, Q1 will only change when our previous bit changes from 1 to 0, right? So Q1 stays unchanged. In the fourth step, what happens? Q0 changes from 1 to 0. Again, since Q0 changes from 1 to 0, we can see our Q1 has changed from 1 to 0. That means what we want to focus, or what we are trying to get from this, is Q0 changes with each clock pulse. The connection between Q0 and Q1, if you want to draw a connection between Q0 and Q1, you have to understand Q1 changes value only when Q0 changes from 1 to 0. It changed from 1 to 0, so its value gets changed. It changed from 1 to 0, so again its value gets changed, right? Now if you come to Q2 and you want to draw a relationship between Q2 and Q1, you can see Again Q2 changes its state only when Q1 changes from 1 to 0. See, we started with Q2 0, Q1 0. When the first clock pulse is applied, Q1 is still 0, so Q2 is also 0. On the second step, Q1 changes from 0 to 1, but Q2 remains unchanged. Similarly in third step, but in the fourth step, when Q1 changes from 1 to 0, our Q2 changes. Our value of Q2 immediately changes. So the relationship between Q2 and Q1 is when the previous bit, that is when Q1 changes state from 1 to 0, Q2 changes state, right? Similarly, if you go down, you will see our Q3 changes state only when our Q2 changes from 1 to 0. So you can draw a connection between the two consecutive bits. Okay, the more significant bit changes position only when the less significant bit changes from 1 to 0. We will apply this, or we are rather applying this in this circuit. Okay, so now let's try to understand what is happening. I will draw the truth table simultaneously so that you can understand the functioning, right? Number of clock pulse, value of Q3, Q2, Q1 and Q0. Initially, okay, so let's start to understand how a ripple counter works, right? So like you understand, the function of a counter is to count. So all we need to do is we will send pulses and we want their binary to be displayed out. Okay. Now our first just see, we have a JK flip-flop where all our inputs are connected to 1. That means it is nothing but a toggle flip-flop, right? When our J and K's are connected together directly, we know it is a T flip-flop, and since all the inputs of all the flip-flops are connected to 1, it is acting like a toggle switch. Now what does a toggle switch act like? Whatever value you give, you get the opposite outside, right? Like we know, if you look at the truth table of a toggle output, if you put T equal to 0, you get the same previous value of the output. Like if Tn and output is this, if it is 0, you get Qn, if it is 1, you get Qn bar, right? That means we have set all the outputs to 0, 0, 0, 0, and we will apply toggling, right? Since all our JKs are connected with each other and all are finally connected to a 1, these all flip-flops are like toggle switches. They'll be working like toggle switches, right? Now what happens? Okay, then we have initially applied our clear is equal to 0. We have put our clear is equal to 0 and we have set all our Q2, Q1, Q0 into 0. Okay, now we have, after the first step, we have put CR is equal to PR is equal to 1 because we want all the flip-flops to function in normal fashion. That is our second step, and then we start counting the clock pulses, right? On the okay, another thing you need to note is we have negative age triggered flip-flop. That means our flip-flops will only get activated when our clock pulse falls from 1 to 0. That means when our clock pulse, it's like this, when our clock pulse falls from 1 to 0, that is when our flip-flops will change their output state, right? Now let's apply the first clock pulse to our first flip-flop. So on application of the first clock pulse, this toggle switch gets activated. We had a 0 over here. That 0 immediately gets transformed into 1. That means on the application of the first clock pulse, our output 0 has toggled to 1. It has changed to 1. Now since there is no common clocking, these are remaining unaffected because, like you can see, like now this output state will act as the clock pulse of the flip-flop. So the previous output states will be acting as the clock pulse of the flip-flops. If you see at the previous output state, it has changed from 0 to 1, but this clock will get active only when the clock pulse falls from 1 to 0, because it is a negative edge triggered flip-flop. So since our value has changed from 0 to 1, this remains unaffected, and Q1 equal to 0 only gets displayed. That means the previous Q1 gets displayed. It is not changing. Over here again we had a 0 and again we get a 0. Since there is no change in clock pulse, this flip-flop remains inactive and the previous value of Q2 gets displayed, and similar thing happens in case of our third or fourth flip-flop or Q3, right? Now on the application of second clock pulse, what happens? On the application of second clock pulse, the moment the clock on the negative edge of the clock pulse, this 1 immediately changes to 0, since it is working like a toggle switch. So this 1 has changed to 0. Now this Q0 was acting like the clock pulse of this second flip-flop. This flip-flop 0, this flip-flop 1, flip-flop 2 and flip-flop 3. Okay, like you can see, this Q0 was acting like the clock pulse of flip-flop 1. Now this clock pulse has changed from 1 to 0. Changed from 1 to 0. That means it is the negative edge of the clock pulse, 1 to 0. Immediately this gets activated and our output toggles. That means Q1 toggles to 1. So we had a 0 over here, it toggles to 1. 0 has changed to 1, like you can see. Again, this acts like the clock pulse of this FF2, but since it has changed from 0 to 1, it is the positive edge of the clock pulse, so this does not gets active. We get the previous output, that is 0, and again even this remains inactive. We get the previous output 0. So like you can see, the flip-flops only change state when the flip-flop when their previous flip-flop changes state from 1 to 0, right? So this thing continues. The next step, this becomes again a 1. Since this has changed from 0 to 1, this won't change state, this remains a 1, and even this remains a 0, right? So something like this you have to complete. If you go on, you will see this functions like this: 0 1 0 0. 5 is 0 1 0 1. 6 gives you a 0 1 1 0. 7 gives you a 0 1 1 1. 8 gives you 1 0 0 0. 9 gives you 1 0 0 1. 10 gives you 1 0 1 0. So like this, if you go down, 15 gives you 1 1 1 1, and 16 gives you 0 0 0 0. Okay, I have skipped the remaining steps. If you move on functioning like this, you will see this is what the truth table looks like. So all we are getting is the binary output of the number of clock pulses, right? In all state, you will see the previous state has only changed state when the previous flip-flop has changed from 1 to 0, right? 1 to 0, and see this has changed state. So finally what happens in the 15th clock pulse, this is our output, right? The binary of 15 looks like this. So on the application of, by the end of the 16th clock pulse, what happens? Since the clock pulse has been applied over here, this changes state, because in all stages this changes state. This changes from 1 to 0. Since this has fallen from 1 to 0, Q1 also changes. It was 1 previously, it has changed state to 0. Since Q1 has changed from 1 to 0, it is the falling edge of the clock pulse, so Q2 has also changed its state from 1 to 0. Similarly, since Q2 has changed its state from 1 to 0, Q3 has also changed its state from 1 to 0. That means the counter begins to work again, that is, it starts from its initial stage again. Initially it was 0 0 0. On the 16th clock pulse it has again become 0 0 0, right? So the counter, that is a 4-bit counter, will start afresh after the 16th clock pulse. Okay, so so this is called a mod 16 counter. By modulus, what we mean to say is the number of distinct stages a counter passes through before reaching the initial state. Okay, the initial state was 0, and before reaching the initial state it has passed through 16 states, so it is called a mod 16 counter. So a 4-bit ripple counter is also called a mod 16 counter, and modulus means the number of unique steps a counter passes before reaching to its initial state again. Okay, and I don't think, okay, and so the number of pulses a counter can count is equal to okay, so mod 16, that means if you have four, since you have 4 flip-flops over here, you have 2 to the power n is equal to 16 distinct stages. Okay, and the number of pulses you can count, like you can see, is 15. Over here we can count 15 pulses, so the number of pulses you can count is 2 to the power n minus 1, right? So this is all about ripple counter. Now let's try to look at the waveform of a ripple counter. If you want to see the waveform of a ripple counter, say you have a clock pulse like this. I won't show the entire diagram, but few clock pulses. Okay, this is the electric pulse that you want to calculate. Now you want to see how Q3 changes. So it is very simple. We all know we started with Q3 equal to Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to Q3 is equal to 0. So our initial states were all 0. So we start with a 0 and we continue as 0. The moment the clock pulse changes state from 1 to 0, Q0 will also change state. So it will immediately rise up, right? Again it continues to be 1 1 1, but the moment again the clock pulse changes from 1 to 0, it will change state. So it falls over here. It again continues as 0, but the clock pulse continues. Q0 is totally dependent on the applied clock pulse. So the moment our clock pulse again changes state from 1 to 0, Q0 changes state, and it moves on like this. At the falling edge of the applied clock pulse, our Q0 changes state, right? Now Q0 acts as the clock pulse of Q1, right? Q0 acts as a clock pulse of Q1. So Q1 was initially 0. It continues as 0, but the moment our clock pulse Q0 changes from 1 to 0, our Q1 changes state, right? Then again it continues as it is, but again when Q0 changes state from 1 to 0, this changes state. So this thing continues. This is the output waveform. Q2, now Q1 acts as the clock pulse of Q2, right? So Q2 has begun as 0, but moment Q1 falls from 1 to 0, this changes state, and this continues to be like this. Q3 had started being 0, but Q2 acts as a clock pulse of Q3, so it continues to be 0, but the moment Q2 falls from 1 to 0, this changes state, and this thing continues. By the end of the 16th clock pulse, everything resets to 0. Okay, so please you check it, like it will happen by itself, that by the end of the 16th clock pulse, all the values of Q0, Q1, Q2 and Q3 will become 0. So do complete this diagram. Okay, so this is how the waveform of a ripple counter looks like. Waveform of ripple counter. Okay, last, we just have only one portion left, and that is called the decade ripple counter. So let's complete that. Decade ripple counter. Okay, Like you can see, we have seen the modulus of a counter, that is it is equal to 2 to the power n, right? So all we can construct is either a 2 modulus or a 4 or a 8, etc. But if we want to construct a modulus which is not 2 to the power n, which cannot be obtained from 2 to the power n, say if we want to make a mod 10 counter, how to make that? So decade ripple counter is nothing but a mod 10 counter. Okay. So how to construct that? The rule is, now you need to attach flip-flops to obtain a ripple counter, right? So if you want to make a ripple counter of modulus n, the number of flip-flops required will be 2 to the power n, such that this is the smallest value of n for which this equation is valid, right? That means if we want to create a mod 10 counter, and you can see this, for the lowest value of n for which this equation is valid is 2 to the power 4, right? So we need 4 flip-flops to create a mod 10 counter, because if it is 2 to the power 3 it becomes 8, and so this is not valid. But the moment it is 2 to the power 4, this equation gets valid, and it is the least value of n for which, small n, for which this equation is right. So we can find the number of flip-flops we require to find a n mod counter. Okay, so let's see how a decade ripple counter looks like. Okay, the functioning is exactly the same which we have just seen in case of counter. These are the input pulse. Q0. This is the least significant beat, like we have seen. This acts as the clock pulse of the next flip-flop. This is J1, Q1. This again acts as the clock pulse of this. This is J2. We have Q2. This acts as a clock pulse. This is Q3, right? This is all that we had. Okay, so now how to construct a counter so that it has only 10 distinct unique steps, right? That is what we mean by a mod 10 counter. So just look at the binary equivalent of 10. The binary equivalent of the digit 10 is it is equal to 1010, right? 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, and 2 to the power 3. So 8 plus a 2 gives you a 10. So this is the binary equivalent of 10, right? So what we do is we can see that if it is, that means it is Q0, this Q1, this Q2, and this Q3, right? So our Q1 and Q3 are 1s, right? So what we do, we take these terminals Q1 and Q3, the terminals for which 10 has 1 in its binary equivalent. These terminals, we take these terminals Q1 and Q3 and attach it to a NAND gate. Okay, and the output of the NAND gate are attached to the clear input of all the flip-flops. So the only difference that we have in case of a decade ripple counter is the outputs of Q3 and Q1, which were both 1 because the binary, which we have chosen this because the binary equivalent of 10 has 1 in those places. So we take those terminals, connect it to a NAND gate, and the output of the terminals are connected to clear input, right? So what happens because of this is, you apply the clock pulse, the initial clock pulse changes the value of Q0, and simultaneously the working is absolutely similar, absolutely the same in case of this counter as well. But what happens, so I will just show you the last 3 stages when we have the 8th clock pulse, 9th clock pulse and the 10th clock pulse, right? I will just show you these 3 stages because these are a bit different from the Q2, Q1 and the Q0. So in our 8th clock pulse, what we have is 1 0 0 0. In our 9th clock pulse, what we have is 1 0 0 1, right? The same working. Now what happens in the 10th clock pulse? In the 10th clock pulse, our outputs become 1 0 1 0, right? Our 10th clock pulse should give us this output. The moment this output is obtained in these output terminals, Q1 has 1 over here and Q3 has 1 over here. Both these ones pass through the NAND gate. A 1 1 passing through a NAND gate gives you a 0. This 0 in turn comes to the clear inputs, and we know when the clear input becomes 0, our output gets cleared. So instead of displaying this on the 10th plus, what displays on screen is 0 0 0 0. I will repeat, the functioning is absolutely the same in case of decade ripple counter, but on the 10th pulse, since the binary output normally becomes 1 0 1 0, when these ones gets passed onto this NAND gate, the output becomes 0, and those outputs are all connected to the clear input. So these zeros reset all the flip-flops, and instead of displaying that, and immediately our outputs become 0 0 0 0, right? So after the 10th clock pulse, everything gets reset. The initial stage was 0 0 0 0, and also after 10th stage, this stage comes back 0 0 0. Now when all the outputs have become 0 0 0 0, these zeros again pass through the NAND gate. On passing through the NAND gate, 2 zeros passing through NAND gate gives you a 1, and these 1 comes to the clear. So from the 11th pulse, it again starts in the normal fashion because the CR has become 1. I repeat, after the 10th pulse, when everything has become 0 0, these zeros, obviously they are again connected to the NAND gate, so they come through the NAND gate and appear at the clear inputs. 2 zeros passing through a NAND gate gives a 1. These ones, when come to the clear input, all the flip-flops come back to the normal functioning. So, and again the counter starts afresh. So the counter can only calculate 9 pulses, and it can have only 10 distinct stages, right? That is why it is called a decade ripple counter, because it is a mod 10 counter, right? Please try to draw the waveforms of a decade ripple counter. This is your homework, the waveform. In case you have any problem, please do let me know. Okay, thank you so much.